and those have been changed around so much that I haven't, because of the new grants that they are getting, and just haven't done it. I wanted to check on the 911 to make sure that those amounts are that, I know the lead communicator is fine, but I didn't know about the others.
The part-time rate needs to be back down, because when we met and when we raised those rates to get employees in those positions, we had stated when
they got
his
full,
full-time
change
were
them.
filled, that we would back those part-times back to the original.
The part-time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not the full-time.
Right.
The full-time was set, and then the part-time would need to go back to, gosh, when did you do that? $11 to $15 an hour is what they came up from.
Yeah, but we weren't, were we gonna go back to that? Right? Or were we gonna bump it relational to the other bumps that we gave in that department?
Which department was on that?
911.
911, so it'd
This was
actually
the
be,
emergency meeting that we had.
it's the 1172 fund.
So I'm not sure what your question is.
Line 214.
He's
So-
asking, do we leave it at 11 to 15, or do we bump it up some?
So we took the whole department and we gave them an increase.
A temporary increase.
No,
Oh, wait.
no.
Are you talking about the part-time or like the,
As a whole, there's no employee in E911 that did not get a bump,
right,
okay? But the part-time communications line got a substantial temporary per hour increase. So she's saying we go back to the $11 to $15 an hour range
for the part-time?
for the part-time.
That was my recollection.
My question is, do we do that, or do we, because all the others got an incremental increase, do we bring that incrementally up, down from the substantial amount, but incrementally up to match the other increases?
I don't know how we can with what we're paying the full-time people now, and those positions are filled to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, that's, I mean, mine is a actual question, so if
Yeah.
that's the answer, I'm fine with it.
Was he utilizing some of those part-time folks from other counties as,
was,
as
as-
trainers?
Not that I mean, I haven't been told.
No, 2 of them have came and now are full-time employees.
Okay, all right.
I am still standing my ground to where what we said during the meeting would happen, that we bring them back down to 11 to 15.
Okay,
Like,
I'm all right with that.
okay.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, we shouldn't have a full-time problem with what we jumped to in dispatch pay. So,
The
Well, I
problem
have a
will be
question
is that a
from
lot
the
of,
HR. Yeah, go ahead.
he says what'll happen is that now that he's fully staffed, they will pick up extra hours in that. And they're still, that was the problem with the meeting, they're still going to get their wage plus time and a half, so he won't utilize the part-time, I would assume, very much.
That was part of my question. The second part of my question is if there is a part-timer that is working right now for $18,
not next year.
next year you're gonna make them go down to $15.
Well, that was always the,
That was the.
That was
I
always the
know,
agreement.
Yeah.
But what if it was a regular that we had before?
It's not, because they're all gone.
Okay, all right.
yeah,
At that
I,
point in
I
time, he
don't-
was going to have one employee the next week.
Not-
As long as you can
Yeah.
lose them,
Hmm?
as long as you can lose the part-timer, which you probably will, but. It's okay. You certainly do it.
Okay, so 18 to 28 down to 11 to 15. Correct?
Yes,
And that was what was decided, or should that be a motion?
If you're gonna put
I
it
think
in for
we'll-
the final,
Yeah, we'll agree to the
Okay.
salary ordinance
All
as a
right.
whole.
Just
be good all at once, as long as you got good
Just
notes and stuff.
We really can't agree to it at this meeting anyway, because she's gotta have all these numbers.
Right, no, yes, agreed.
Well, you can make indications. We used to do that, but now we don't. So, the PETA board, I don't believe you changed those amounts either. I just double checking.
No,
No, what?
no, we did not change it.
Okay. And then Carroll Manor, I did not believe that you changed any, and I accidentally highlighted that housekeeping aid, so I evidently
Thank you.
need to do that one. It'll be done.
Okay.
This will all be ready for your December 21st.
Why are the cooks part-time at Carroll Manor, that's where the 13's coming in at, why are they on a range from 11 to 13 instead of 11 to 15?
I don't know if that's what you had this last time.
They were never raised because they never came to us with a plan, a revenue plan that made any sense in terms of, like, we said you could pay them $25 an hour, show us how you're gonna pay for them. And no plan was ever presented to us, so we left it the way it was, year over year. And because of the revenue position, we didn't want to put them in a position where they paid somebody more and then ran themselves into the black. Ran themselves further in the red.
I recall that discussion.
Yeah.
So that's all my questions but on the back where we have a lot of descriptions. The last line, I'm going to change that from second deputy probation officer will be paid from joint courts and probation, because we did change it's not 1/2 and 1/2. And that will give you the ability to do what you need to do each year. That's all the questions I have, and it'll be ready for you at the next meeting.
Okay, any other questions or concerns on the salary ordinance? Okay, next item on the agenda, I'm sorry, anything else from you, Beth? All right. The next item is to review the ordinance for the innkeeper's tax. So we talked about this 2 months ago. I think it was generally understood that this is a good idea and an opportunity for revenue for the county on short-term rental and lodging within Carroll County. So we had an old ordinance on file. I sent that to Eric, and he and his office updated it and got some new verbiage in here. And then I was able to get that over to Julia, and I think you are agreed that it looks good, or?
Yeah, I think it looks good. There is a point there that you could change if you wanted to, and it would be in regards to the collection. According to the state, you can either have individuals collect the tax and pay the county monthly, or you could have Department of Revenue collect it if they filed with the state through in time. So, I mean, it's a gray area. Of course, it's all, what do you call that? An honorary system. You have to be honest about reporting what you are collecting. And again, just as a reminder, this isn't the person who owns the property that has to pay it. They pass that on to whoever's staying there. But Tracy and I had a quick discussion. It is actually under 30 days. So if somebody rents their property for less than 30 days, then it is taxed. So there are some people in the winter that rent their lake homes, privately for 30 days at a time. Those would not be eligible for the tax. It's under 30 days, just to clarify.
Okay.
Yeah, and the state requires all marketplace vendors to collect the tax and pass it on. and I just read that you will get reports from the state every 6 months, so we'll know who is collecting how much, what kind of rental income they're getting, things like that, so they're required to turn that into.
So the collection mechanism for this is sort of specified in section 2 of the ordinance, right?
Yes, correct.
And you're saying we could define that a little
You could,
more concretely than it is?
or you could adopt it the way it is, and if your commission that's established by the county commissioners is discovering that it's not working, then I assume we could amend that at a future date.
Yeah.
So, I
Well, if
mean,
it's not, do you perceive it might not work well? Is that what you're saying?
you never know, right?
Well,
Yeah.
give us a little more
Well,
of what your
okay,
thoughts
so
are.
if somebody is in the business of renting, they are already registered with the state of Indiana, they are required to pay that tax through In Time, which is the state's online where you report your tax and collect. So in some cases, that might not be an issue. So, but others that just rent a room in their house, you know, here and there, yeah, you might not know who those are. That's a potential. You might not never know who they are. So you run that risk.
That's
But-
why I asked the
Yeah.
question of who was going to, in Carroll County, run this program.
Enforce it.
And the enforcement piece is loose, obviously, in most counties, but your Convention Visitor and Tourism Bureau that's established by the commissioners will help oversee that, take care of the records, try and communicate with those people who are in the business of renting. So they would do the best they could, obviously.
Because we know it's gonna happen. I mean, like I have an Airbnb, I don't know what it is, but I understand why they want it. So if there's an Airbnb down the road from me that's not turning in, and I am turning mine in, who's gonna rat out the Airbnb down the road that's not turning in? Which if they're under Airbnb,
It's done
they have to
automatically.
do automatically.
Mhm.
But say there's a for rent and they're not turning it in.
Mhm.
So that's my question of how is it going to operate? Who in this county is going to make the people pay that aren't paying?
So we want to create more government? Is that what you're suggesting?
Exactly.
I don't agree. I think, why create more government, you know?
Oh, I'm not wanting that.
I mean, we've got an Airbnb tax already in place, right? If you
If you vote for
registered-
this, yes, you
Yes.
will.
So then why
Airbnb,
would we-
Verbo, all of those will collect it automatically and send it to the county.
I don't think
is-
you're understanding.
Can
The
I ask
people,
a
not all people go through
Right.
Airbnb, Verbo. They
Right.
rent them just through the newspaper, or they rent them through online. Those people, I would have to assume, are probably not gonna turn this in.
Well, and I think this will, I mean, there's a bit of self-reporting here, but
There is.
But if you, I mean, there's a named list of people who are actually paying taxes. If you as a business owner, and this is a public document, if you as a business owner know that there is a bad actor that is renting this location, then you can say, is John Doe on your list and and how much are they collecting?
Who is John Doe gonna ask that question to in Carroll County?
And so this body that is created, the Commissioners Visitor Bureau, is the one that receives the tax.
So that's the body that's gonna be taking care of.
They
what
don't
I'm
do
asking.
enforcement, you're talking about tax enforcement, that's the state's responsibility for tax enforcement.
Let's leave it with the state to do their tax enforcement.
But there is a public record of who is actually paying hospitality taxes. So my understanding of what you're saying is that you think you put yourself at a competitive disadvantage with somebody else not collecting taxes, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so if you know that person to exist
Uh-huh.
down the street, you can go to the Convention and Visitor Bureau and say, is the property at such and such, owned by such and such, paying their taxes? And they can give you an immediate answer, yes or no.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
When I was county treasurer in years past, I worked with Julia, and I believe that the chamber told us who we were supposed to collect for. We didn't go out and make them, I mean, we just told them that, I think we sent out monthly things or
Yes.
something, or you did.
We did, we had monthly coupons, or they went out in letters, yeah.
And we weren't, I mean, it was all in in office,
Mhm.
and if someone came in and said, is so-and-so paying their taxes, I wasn't supposed to tell them yes or no. It was confidential, who was paying and who wasn't. But that's changed. I'm sure it's changed, but
And
not
that's,
to
that's,
give her-
that's
not
my
to give her
question
more
is
work,
Julia
is why
gonna send out
wouldn't she still
coupon?
continue that, because this is tourism.
I mean, I see you sitting back and easily taking the Verbo and the Airbnb and
Yeah,
that money.
that's easy,
And
yeah.
then the rest of them just, no punishment, no
I
consequences.
don't know that there's that many off the top of my head, however, you know, it just, an example would be if you own an apartment building and you decide to rent it for 2 weeks at a time, you know, technically you should charge the tax for that. Pass that on to your renter. And then you have to report it 20 days after the close of the next month and pay it. That's kind of how this is written.
I don't see a significant impact to the county coffers in collecting this tax.
It's gonna be.
I think it's another burden upon the consumer and the business owner, that it's not gonna be a significant impact.
It's a lot more to do.
I don't
No, yeah.
Scott,
What's an
Scott?
estimate of how
I'm not
much
sure.
I
the
had
county's
that, I
gonna
reported that to
generate?
y'all 2 months ago.
Yeah,
I did-
let's let Julia
What's your,
It
I'm not
was.
sure what you're
give us
saying.
this figure.
I don't see, I mean, it looks like it's awful cloudy to me in who's gonna report, who's gonna collect, who's gonna enforce. And there's a lot of moving pieces for the bottom dollar amount that's coming into the county.
Except-
The cost benefit, the,
It's not gray area for VRBO and
It's not, you're
Airbnb.
right. It's just for private individuals.
That collection is going to happen.
okay.
Yeah, that'll happen automatic.
Yeah.
Once you tell Airbnb, the state informs,
Right.
that's all automatic. You don't have to worry about that.
So let's leave it
Can't
be.
find my notes.
We
I know
can't-
that it
we
was
can't leave it.
significant.
Why?
I mean, we can. I take
Because
that
I've already
back. We
had 2 phone
can,
calls about it.
we
And I
can
can't
leave
answer
it.
the question of how this
I'm
is
sorry,
going to work.
Okay, there's no revenue to the county through those agencies, VRBO,
Right.
Airbnb.
Oh.
There's no revenue at all.
There's none
If
now,
we don't
no.
enact this
Oh,
ordinance.
okay, well, let's enact this, yeah. I'm for that, but I'm just saying, let's don't add to this.
Right, yeah.
That's all I'm saying, is this will be sufficient, I mean.
You have at least 4 times more properties than you did 10 or 11 years ago that are all
That's true.
collecting, the rates are higher. 5% is fairly low actually for a lot around us in the state. But again, we gotta start somewhere. And you would be proactive in being ready for when a hotel is built.
So are they
As well.
currently collecting?
No, nobody's collecting.
Nobody is.
Nobody in Carroll County is collecting
'Cause
because
we don't have the
we fell
ordinance in
below
place
that ordinance.
to
Yeah,
collect.
because
To
we fell-
collect.
We fell below the
30
amount.
room, we had a 30 room minimum
That's
12
crazy.
years ago. And then White Oaks went bankrupt that next year. Because they have
I think
cabins that
this
you
is
could
a smart
rent.
idea. I think that big picture, more tourism dollars going to the county is a good idea. I think it's a kind of a, and I think that there are assets in the community that nobody knows about because we don't fund them. And having this revenue is an opportunity to kind of raise all ships here. So, and mostly, every time we go out of town,
Yeah.
we
pay it.
pay it
We
in
all
other
pay it.
communities,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and they don't pay
10,
it here.
12%
Yeah.
sometimes.
So that is just nonsensical, in my opinion, that we, I mean, granted, to your point, it's not a huge dollar amount, but it's dollars that are dedicated for a specific purpose that is helping both for-profits and nonprofits in the community get the word out. So I think that's,
I think my
And
best-
when you say dedicated to a specific purpose, what is that? I mean, are these gonna be earmarked for
Tourism.
tourism.
tourism?
So once your
period?
CVT is established, then that board will determine how they spend that.
Yeah,
And the commissioners establish that.
yeah. Penny?
And I agree with what Josh just said. Anytime we go out of town and we rent a cabin, we pay that extra tax.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes when you look at the tax that you
Yeah.
pay, it's more than what you paid for the room.
That's a really good point.
And why not have that here in Carroll County to generate those funds for our tourism? That will save some money on the backside, giving them some other money that could go someplace else.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree.
I feel
And I
like-
think in terms of your concern about like, you know, it not realizing enough revenue to to justify the exercise here. I
I
think
feel
I'm
like it
way-
was
I
10
think
to
I'm way
12
low.
grand the first year.
the what's it, how much?
I think it was 10 to 12,000 was my best estimate, just for the first year alone.
Oh, it's gotta be more than that.
Yeah, I
with
think it was-
White
I
Oaks
think it was
and
more.
all
10
the
years
rentals
ago,
and
it
stuff.
was-
It's
Well,
gotta be
no,
more
10
than
years
that.
ago it was like $1,200.
Oh, was
It
it?
was-
That was it.
I wondered why we were even doing it.
Right, but we were optimistic 12 years ago we'd have a hotel by now.
I know, that's true.
Sorry, I'm not retired.
Well,
so
and
know.
Yeah, but-
I think, I completely, as we've
Yeah.
discussed this the last couple of minutes, it's become clearer in my mind, because it just seemed like, I mean, by stating if they're already a B and B or, you know,
I mean, White Oaks, they.
all of that, they're already connected.
White
Yeah.
Oaks gonna be a big number.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it's an automatic collection from the
Yeah.
state, that clears
And they're
a lot of
locking
the
on
mud
RV
for
lots.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's tens of thousands.
Walnut,
This
Can I ask
excludes
another
RV
so,
lots.
question?
will the
Yeah.
Walnuts,
It's not
like
in
the
there.
campgrounds and that,
Campers
are
aren't.
you gotta do though? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I think
there's a
we
lot more
should.
than what you guys.
Yeah, Penny?
Juliet, the Bachelor run
Yeah.
campground, so they.
He has
would be-
those little
so
cabins.
He has those little cabins, so he
Mhm.
would be paying in, and he's adding more cabins.
Right.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
keeps
Pretty much
adding
as
more.
we speak.
Mhm.
So.
This
I mean,
does
there's
not-
money- There's money out there, and why not?
Right, the way the ordinance is written so far, it does exclude any sort of camping or primitive camping, but cottages and cabins is included, so that would count
Okay,
at White Oaks. It wouldn't count the RV sites.
okay.
Oh, so it's not
And
already.
like you said, we can do something different down
You
the
could.
road
Yeah.
if we're feeling like compliance is not high. as
I mean,
far
the
as-
state allows you to tax, I mean, a venue that has events even under this tax, but in primitive camping, and I don't know, I can't see primitive camping necessarily
So
right now.
we need a motion to approve this amendment.
Why would you not do the event centers and that stuff though? Why would you do that?
Because they're high enough.
Well, actually, the
They're high
biggest
enough.
ones are exempt from the tax because they're owned by nonprofit organizations, so I don't know if it's worth, yeah. Not anybody that owns that has a nonprofit that owns the property.
So the gathering barn, and
exempt.
that's the house that they rent, would they pay that?
It's under Airbnb.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think this is another-
So do we need an ordinance number on this?
There would be a sign,
We do.
yes.
Motion to approve this ordinance to reestablish local collection of Carroll County innkeeper's tax.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion by Paul Ryder, seconded by Taylor Fife, to approve the reestablishment of the local collection of Carroll County innkeeper's tax ordinance.
2023-102.
Ordinance number 2023 what?
102.
102. Any other comments, questions around this?
When will this go in effect?
According to that, it says January 1.
Yeah,
I think we're
okay.
able to,
Just
gives us time to inform all of those individuals.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question? Since that's kind of a big thing with maybe people that are going in business, when that ordinance is all done, can we record it in my office so it's available for people to access easily? I
Sure.
mean, there's no fee to record it, but I think it would be nice to have it recorded, and if somebody asks a question, it's
Right.
easily found.
Well, and also I ran across several bulletins that it's kind of an if this, then that, so it's a frequently asked question. So if you have somebody that says, okay, I rent my property for 30 days, do I have to do it? Go to the chart and it'll say no. So, I mean, we'll work with the state and with Mr. Burns to put that together too. Just to make it easy, because it's confusing when you read through some of it.
Can you like send that link, email me that link and that?
Those bulletins, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, the state put out bulletin 41 and 89. So.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor by Paul Ryder, seconded by Taylor Fife, to approve this ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
That's fine.
Opposed, same sign.
And there will be a public hearing that will be required, which you would do at whatever meeting you want, the 21st. And then you can vote on it the second time, usually with a tax, because it's an imposition of a new tax. So
Okay.
therefore, public has a right to appear at a public hearing. And that would happen at the next time.
Okay,
Once you've heard the public, then you would vote again.
so we just have that as the agenda for this one.
You do it on the 21st.
Okay.
Right,
Nice.
Ellen?
I guess so. And so we'll put that right at 10 a.m. like we did budgetary, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It'd be
Okay.
the same as budget, just a different.
just a different,
Title.
okay. Okay.
Right,
And
sounds
that's
good.
your 10 days there, too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, moving on, we've got some additionals that were advertised earlier this month.
Did you get it done and understand my vote?
I did not, no.
Neither did I.
Okay, thank you. So, that vote passed 6-0. Councilwoman Tracy Martin abstains. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to additionals. Any questions or discussion that needs to be had on these?
I move to approve all additionals as presented.
Second.
Motion by Josh Plew, seconded by Paul Ryder to approve the 4 additionals that are presented within this agenda. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Okay, we do have an additional to be advertised elected official training in the amount of $700.
No objection.
Okay. Any other new business to be discussed?
I have something I want to bring before the council.
Yes, go ahead.
So yesterday, 2 days ago, the Tippecanoe County Council passed an ordinance that prohibited the county from outsourcing more than 5 million gallons of water on a daily basis. 5 million gallons daily. Pretty, am I tracking okay? so
Yes,
far?
sir.
They are doing that because of the LEAP project. And for those that don't know, the LEAP project is the big business district that the state IEC has put down by Lebanon. It has Eli Lilly and some other folks going into that. That project does not have an adequate water source. The city of Indianapolis has said publicly that they do not have enough water for their 20-year plan. So it is my estimation that this water is going there to prop up the city of Indianapolis and the donut counties. There is, in my opinion, and let me be really clear. I'm not for or against this at this time. What I have a great deal of reservation about is the speed at which we are going at it. Because it is in the range of possibilities. It's possible that we could pump out this unbelievable amount of water every day and have no problems. It is also possible that they could pump out some amount of water and the whole northern half of Indiana go dry, and we have a dust bowl that lasts 50 years. That is the range of possibilities. My problem is that delegates from the Carroll County have been in meetings with the hydrology department from Purdue University that has questioned the state of Indiana's expert. And it is concerning. So that's kind of my recollection or my version of the backstory and why I believe Tippecanoe County Council, who is not a body that does this, it's not a legislative body, but they felt strongly enough about this that they, as a body, passed an ordinance in Tippecanoe County. Now, nobody is proposing or has even talked about taking a hole and drilling a hole here in Carroll County and piping our aquifer south. However, they are piping from an aquifer that supplies this county. So I don't know that the same level of action is requisite for us as it is for Tippecanoe County. But I think that as a body that we need to share, if it is the will of this body, that we need to share, as it is mine, that we need to share our position and let it be known to all parties, both taxpayers in Carroll County who have potential negative side effects from this, or consequences from this, and legislators and bureaucrats across the state that are trying to move this agenda. That Carroll County says, what I would like our resolution to state, and I would like the opportunity to work with Eric on this, is just that Carroll County, much like Tippecanoe County, is in opposition of making a decision to export water from this aquifer for the next 9 months.
I concur.
To say that we are basically in support of what Tippecanoe County has done with their ordinance. I don't feel like we need to pass a similar ordinance because we don't have the same issue, but I think that it is important for us to say that it's time to get serious about looking into this, not just, driving forward with breakneck speed.
I think any county, city, anyone connected to and around the Wabash River Valley should be concerned. I completely agree.
And I believe the reason the council did it was to put the notion out there that the funding would not be approved.
Well,
That's
and they're
why.
not asking for funding, they're just.
Well, they will eventually.
This is IEDC funding all of this. Yeah, so, I mean, that's the problem that I have.
So why would, I don't understand that, why would the commissioners not do that then?
I don't know the answer to that. But I mean, I think it's
Because
just
the
that
commissioners will
extraordinary.
trump the council.
And maybe, I can't say what happened in Tippecanoe County. All I can say is this is an extraordinary circumstance. Their body took an action, and I think that, this is a very time-sensitive matter because, if people's voices aren't heard, this is going to happen very quickly. And I think that, and like, things are happening. The governor took something away from the IEDC in regards to this. I don't know all the details, but I mean, people are sitting up and taking notice that this isn't something that is just gonna go through without proper.
Is this something that we could do with our commissioners together, both of us?
Yeah. I mean,
I would
we
like
could,
to
we
have
could, we
the-
could issue,
Like a
so-
joint statement?
With a
I would
joint
like to
resolution,
have the
yeah.
commissioners, and I'd like to do this as a full body together.
Okay.
to
Do
So-
we have a joint meeting coming up?
Well, no, so, I mean, if you would allow me, well, I will make a motion that this council endeavor to write a resolution asking for a joint resolution with the commissioners, and that we have that resolution brought back, approved by the commissioners, or not approved by the commissioners, but to be considered at our December meeting.
I'll second.
And I would like the opportunity to work with Eric in drafting the language for that, if I can present to everyone at the next meeting. That's acceptable.
Just for the council though.
Well, for both. I mean, drafting the resolution, presenting it to the commissioners, asking for their support in the resolution, and then bringing it back to the council.
Can the commissioners also do a resolution?
They could do their own. I mean,